What's up, everybody? Pete Pardo here from Sea Tranquility. Welcome to pick number 21 of my favorite 30 albums of the 60s countdown. 30 days here in the month of September 2023. All of us together are picking out our favorite albums released during the 60s. Any genre: rock, pop, psychedelic, acid rock, jazz, fusion, folk, polka, whatever. Doesn't matter. All up for grabs here this month of September. So today for my pick number 21, this is the debut album by this American fusion band. At the time, did we really have a title called fusion or jazz fusion? Jazz rock, maybe? Released September 1969. Produced by Monty Kaye and Jack Lewis for Polygram Records. Polygram, Polydor, the whole Polygram family verve. Tony Williams' lifetime. Emergency! Emergency! Yes, indeed. This is a really interesting album because, at this point in time, Tony Williams had been playing with Miles Davis for a number of years throughout the decade. Decided to go off on his own. He hooks up with a young English cat on guitar named John McLaughlin and an organ player named Larry Young, and they put together this noisy collection of rockin' jazz, right? It's not jazz like we know it. It's not really rock like we know it. It's kind of like a weird mix of the two, right? But boy, is this raw and uncompromising and exciting, and, one of the few albums that helped spearhead jazz fusion going into the 70s, right? Because we already had, of course, In a Silent Way, right around the same time, Miles's first foray into electric jazz, jazz rock type of thing. You had this album, and then just a few years later, you have a few more Miles Davis albums, and then, of course, you get John McLaughlin decides to go do his own thing, right? He puts together the Mahavishnu Orchestra. You got Chick Corea, Herbie Hancock doing their more electrified things, Larry Coryell, right? All these other bands doing this kind of jazz rock fusion thing. But man, was anybody making music as raucous and raw and loud and uncompromising in the jazz spectrum as this at this time? Not really. Not really. And McLaughlin obviously liked what he was doing here. He liked some of the fiery stuff that he was doing with Miles over the next 2 years or so. And then went off to do the Mahavishnu Orchestra, like I said, which combined lots of the ferocity of what you hear here, along with kind of different type of ethnic influences and things. So, so again, McLaughlin on electric and acoustic guitars, Tony Williams drums, a little bit of vocals on this album, which are kind of weird, but then Larry Young on organ. So interesting how you got no bass player, right? Just organ, guitar, and drums. Very, very cool stuff. As far as the songs on here, you got, and this is basically a double album, right? That's 71 minutes of music. Another oddity about this record is, 1969, an album like this, kind of music unheard of, and it's a double album. You got the title track Emergency, right? Just under 10 minutes long. All these long songs, Beyond Games, original tracks here too. You got Where, which was written by McLaughlin. That's over 12 minutes long. Just ferocious guitar playing on here. Oddly enough, he's the production of this album is just also really bizarre. This is not a high fidelity album. It's just very raw and uncompromising. It's not the greatest sounding record ever, but the playing is just off the charts. You get the kind of distorted fuzz tones on Larry's organ, right, which is just a little bit different. And then rumbling, crashing drums and guitars. And John isn't relying on a lot of fuzz or distortion on his guitar at times. Not as much as we would hear on some Miles Davis recordings to come, and certainly on the Mahavishnu Orchestra, but there is a bit of it here. And the savage stuff. Via the Spectrum Road. It's a great, great track. This is on side 3. You got Spectrum, okay, also side 3. And then Sangria for 3. And Something Spiritual, and something special, I should say, which is over on to close out the album. Just amazing, amazing stuff here, amazing stuff. But again, just harsh, but very, very captivating. Right, the go for the throat, just we're going to do something completely different here, I think is what is just so amazing about this album. and that when you look at what Tony Williams was doing right before this with Miles, and then to move right into this, it's like, well, how did that happen, right? What led to this noisy, raucous, just avant-garde, just cacophony of savage sounds? Don't know. But it's a good thing it happened because, like I said, it helped spawn a lot of things to come afterwards. And, Tony Williams and his Lifetime band would go on to do a handful of albums after this, all of them a little bit different. Then he would hook up with Alan Holdsworth and a few other cats just a few years later, and they would do something a little bit, well, not a little, a lot more sophisticated than this, much more refined, and maybe closer to the true fusion sound of the 70s, right? But for this album and for the next two that come after it, very, very different stuff. Jack Bruce would join the band for a little bit, making for an even odder outfit, right? But still very, very cool stuff. So yeah, I dig this album quite a bit. It had to be on my list because it is so groundbreaking and so just different. This is not for the faint of heart, I will say, if you're new to kind of jazz rock or jazz fusion. So, but yeah, check it out. And as far as I don't think we have any kind of certification, anything for this. Yeah, no, this, an album like this is not going to be a big seller. But as far as its influence, absolutely 100%. So let us know what you think of the Tony Williams Lifetime Emergency in the comments below. If you've never heard it, go check it out. I would think if you like kind of loud and noisy and kind of avant-garde jazz stylings, but with plenty of rock firepower, I think you'll dig this. Like I said, the only thing about this album I really don't like is I don't think Tony's vocals are really needed here, and they're just in spots. But it just I don't know why they ever wanted to add vocals to any of these songs because they're perfectly fine without them. But yeah, this is cool stuff. Lots of music on here too. It's a long album, 71 minutes. Well, that's pretty normal by today's CD standard, but back then that's a lot of music. So check it out. The Tony Williams Lifetime Emergency, Larry Young, John McLaughlin, and Tony Williams. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, all together, all the damn time. Please subscribe if you haven't already and click on that notification bell so you get alert of all of our content as it posts. And please do hit the like button before you leave. Also down below, get the links to our Ko-Fi page for channel donations, our merch page for all sorts of cool Sea of Tranquility stuff, and our Cameo page if you'd like me to do a personalized video for you. So thanks for watching, everybody. Let's hear what your pick is for today. Pick number 21, and we'll see you tomorrow morning for number 20. Till then, what do we got? Stay tuned just a little bit. We've got Ranking the Albums coming up. Sly and the Family Stone, along with my special guest helping me out, Mr. Grant Arthur from the Contrarians and Grant's Rock Warehouse. So we'll be ranking all 10 Sly and the Family Stones albums. So stay tuned for that. We'll see you there. I'm Pete Pardo. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye-bye.